Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to, put this video out for you for today. Hopefully, we're back at school tomorrow. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, email me. Maybe we can set up a Zoom, whatever it might be. But for the lesson, it's just going to be a recording. And again, if you have any questions about the lesson, please reach out to me. You'll see the assignment also attached. It's just comparing, contrasting a presidential democracy and a parliamentary democracy. So, real quick, here's the bell ringer for today. I'm going to let you guys write that down. If you want to pause the video to write your response, that'd be great. And then I'm just going to go over this information with you. But anyway, detail the differences between a constitutional monarchy and an absolute monarchy. So, this is the information we went over Friday. Again, if you want to pause the video, write down your response. I will give you a few seconds here and I'm going to go over it. All right, so a constitutional monarchy is a monarchy that still resembles the monarch, let's say king or queen, as the leader of that said country. So Great Britain is a perfect example of that. What kind of powers does a monarch have? Not much, not really much at all. Parliament really makes the decisions for Great Britain. They are elected officials by the people, but this type of government really came about 1600s. Okay, when King John realized, you know what, we should probably give people the rights. Okay, and establishing the Magna Carta. And with that being said, the monarch can't have full control, full decision making for the people. Okay, the people should have that right, should have the ability to make decisions for themselves and elect officials that represent those ideals. So, in all reality, when it comes down to it, realistically, the monarch really doesn't have too much power. The only time they ever have any power is when they're reaching out to, let's say, the people in a time of need, maybe in a conflict that is being seen in that country. So, for example, Queen Elizabeth II reached out to the people to assure them that vaccinations were coming during the COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe during a global crisis, right, like a pandemic, maybe an issue of war, whatever have you. All right, an absolute monarchy is when that monarch, king or queen, has full power, has full say of anything going on in the country, right? This is like a dictatorship, right? This is like, obviously, a person having full control of society, of the country, and every decision being made. So, pros and cons of, let's say, a constitutional monarchy. We have the people having a say in that government, right? That's a great advantage, right? People have a say, they elect officials, and in all reality, the monarch doesn't have too much power. But again, let's say a con for that. Well, what's that monarch really doing? Why do they live a luxury lifestyle with literally doing nothing, just being born into the family? Absolute monarchy. Cons, obviously, people don't have a say. It's a dictatorship. They don't have any say in that government whatsoever. But a pro, I guess you can say, is that laws don't really get stuck in decision making between political parties, right? There are no conflicts amongst political parties because there are none, right? So I guess you could say when it comes to passing laws, passing decision making, it's done at the snap of a finger. Okay, so that's a constitutional monarchy and an absolute monarchy. Terms for today. So here we go. We have a parliamentary democracy and a presidential democracy. Those are the two terms for today. And we're just going to compare and contrast these two forms of government. So if you want to pause the video, write down that definitions for both, obviously, definitions, go ahead. All right, that should be good enough. I'm going to keep moving on because I know you have other courses, other classes to do, and to let you work on the activity. So with a parliamentary democracy, this is really branching off the idea of that constitutional monarchy, but this time there is no monarch, right? There is no figurehead, okay? There's no person just kind of sitting in the looms that the people look for. let's just say, comfort, right? In a time of desire, time of need, this person's no longer there. But in a parliamentary democracy, this idea where the people choose representative officials, right? They choose political officials, representatives to reflect their ideals, okay, what they would want in society. Let's say a law, let's say an ideal, let's say a political platform, whatever it might be. The people elect those officials in and they make the decisions for the government. Okay, again, let's just say there is no monarch in this parliamentary democracy, and the representatives actually vote on the president, let's say a leader for that parliament. Okay, it could be like a prime minister or it could be a president. For the most part, it's a president, but it could be a prime minister. So the parliament, these representative officials that are voted on by the people, they choose a leader for that said government. So an example would be Australia. Okay, so parliament is utilized here. Australia at once was a territory of Great Britain, and that was given up right around the end of World War II. And Parliament somewhat represents Great Britain. They obviously speak English. Okay, they somewhat represent the monarch there, Queen Elizabeth II. But for the most part, Parliament, or for all parts, right, of government, Parliament makes the decision making. People vote on these representatives in Parliament, and Parliament, these representative officials, elect a president to rule, right? To, I guess it'd be that executive, right? That executive branch in our government. All right, presidential democracy, what the United States has. So the difference between a parliamentary democracy and a presidential democracy is that the president's actually voted on by the people. Parliamentary democracy is, well, the president is voted on by parliament. So with a presidential democracy, what we have in the United States, we have Congress, these elected officials that are chosen by the people. Okay, we know as the Senate and the House of Representatives. So the Senate, two senators from each state, and then we have the House of Representatives. We have, depending on population from that state, are elected by the people to represent them. So Congress really makes a lot of decision making, especially with laws, right? Declaring war, okay, really you name it, impeachment process of different political figures, and approval of Supreme Court justices. There's many different things that Congress does for the United States. And then, like I mentioned before, the president is elected by the people through electoral college. Okay, obviously each state, depending on their population, those electoral votes are granted towards the people. Okay, so again, those are the key differences, similarities amongst a parliamentary democracy and a presidential democracy. And we all know with our branches of government, the judicial, Supreme Court, right? And they interpret the law. We have the executive, the president, they enforce the law. And then we have the legislative branch made up of Congress. They create laws. And they do many other things which the elected officials place forth, right? All right, so is that good? Is this good? Presidential democracy? Yeah, right. People vote these representatives, these elected officials. They have a say in government, which is great. We're one of many democracies in the world, but for the most part, okay, you don't see this everywhere. Not everywhere around the world has the ability where people have a voice in government, have a say in government, what goes on. But some ineffective, some disadvantages, let's say, of a presidential democracy is that you have these political parties duking it out with one another. And we all know the hostility of these political parties and obviously how they interact with one another, competing against one another. And it just seems like there's constant bashing to a point where what are we getting done? And let's just say, depending on the House of Representatives, who controls it, which political party, and the Senate, and obviously whoever's president, okay, depends on which political party, which viewpoint. But let's say there's conflicting viewpoints. Let's say the House of Representatives is controlled by the Democrats, and the Senate's controlled by the Republicans. And let's just say at the presidential level, we have a Republican president. In this case, we have a Democratic president right now. This could cause buffering, right? This could cause issues when it comes to getting objectives done. This could cause a lot of lobbying. This could cause a lot of filibusters, right? This could cause a lot of issues when it comes to passing laws because there's a conflict between the two political parties. Right now, currently, we have the Democrats controlling the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. So, legislative branch and the executive branch controlled by primarily Democrats. And right now, with the judicial branch, many people say, obviously, these Supreme Court justices, they try to keep political affiliations out of it. But for the most part, it's Republican held. If you look at it as a whole, right? Obviously, politics is left out of that judicial branch as they interpret the law. They want to keep politics mostly out of their decision making. Want to go strictly by the law, right? Okay, that's all I have for today. Make sure you guys check out the assignment. It's just comparing, contrasting these two democracies, these two types of governments we went over today. All right, guys, that's all I have. Take care. Hope you have a great day. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow.